Welcome to Motivational Life Hacks with Van Leer.
Welcome back to this Motivational Monday podcast. I am your host, Van Leer. It is my job to provide you with a recipe for greatness. So let's cook. You are not your mistakes. Let me say that again. You are not your mistakes. Today's topic, I really want to focus on understanding that you need to embrace your mistakes and also realize that there's a brighter future ahead. Mistakes are a essential part of life. It is part of your personal growth and development. When you were a baby and you were in that high chair and your mom and your dad made that cup of juice for you, what did you do? You threw it, right? That was a mistake. But what did your parents do? They went over, cleaned it up, gave you another cup of juice so that you can nourish yourself and move on with life. Why is it now when we spill juice, we're gathering around the juice, harping on, oh my God, I made a mistake. I can't believe I dropped this juice on the floor. When did we get to the point where we can't embrace mistakes, learn from them, and move on? Mistakes are a part of life. So for today, I really want to give you some tips to help you to understand that you are not your mistakes. It is part of life. And ultimately, we are here to learn from our mistakes. So, number one, let's look at mistakes as learning opportunities. I remember when I was around 9 or 10 years old, I was really into baseball. And my mom was actually the president of the Little League Association of Baseball, not too far from where we lived. And this particular year, we had a pretty good team. As a matter of fact, we were thinking that we would reach the Little League World Series. That's how good that we were. And ultimately, I was a pitcher. And it got to the point where we were going to go out of town and actually go to a tournament. But before that, we had a game at my local baseball park. And before the game, my mom said to me, hey, listen, you got a game today. Just chill out, hang out. Don't go play basketball. Don't go to the playground. Just kind of temper yourself until the game begins. You already know what I did. When my friend came up to me and said, hey, we're playing a pickup game at the basketball court, I followed him and I began to play basketball. You already guessed it. By me not abiding by what my mom told me to do, I went up for a rebound. I came down, twisted my ankle, and not only did I twist my ankle, I broke this wrist right here. That was not only the end of my baseball season, that was the end of my baseball career. And while the team went on to the other tournaments, they ultimately lost. And I still think about this to this day. I learned from that. When somebody gives you good advice, that sage advice that you need in your life, you need to listen. Because a lot of times that mistake is really what's called a hard lesson. Another way I want you to embrace mistakes, your emotional resilience. Understand that, yes, when you make a mistake, you're going to be emotional about it. You're not going to like it. You're going to be mad. You're going to replay it in your brain over and over again. Some individuals take it to the point where they don't even want to be here any longer. So they just totally check out of life. But emotionally, you got to be able to understand it's a part of life. It's a part of the building blocks of life. And it's all a lesson. It's all right in front of you to learn. You know, there's this old saying. The shame doesn't come when you fall. The shame comes when you don't get up. I'm going to say that again. There is no shame in making mistakes. The shame comes when you don't learn from that mistake. And trust me, it would be a much more boring life if everything was perfect. Just think about that for a second. What would you learn in life if everything went your way all the time? That's impossible. Something else I want you to consider on your journey when mistakes get in front of you. Shifting your mindset from a failure mindset to a growth mindset. I use that opportunity that I had as a little leaguer and playing baseball today. I actually play men's softball. And from time to time, I always go back and think about that incident I had at that basketball court where I broke my wrist. The times where I may injure myself now and it's affecting my play on the field, I'm thinking to myself, I always go back and say, hey, certain things you need to do, as in prepare yourself for the game today so that you're not sore, so that you don't pull a hamstring. All of this plays a part in life. So you can also prepare, but understand, even though you may prepare, there are going to be times where mistakes still happen. Something else, forgiveness. I like to say all the time, you need to extend yourself grace. Let's talk about that. When you make that mistake, you cannot dwell in that darkness. You must forgive yourself. Will there be times where it may take you a few minutes, days, weeks to forgive yourself? Possibly. But ultimately, you got to wipe that off, move on, and understand mistakes are going to happen. Forgiveness is a must. And those around you who make mistakes, guess what? You need to forgive them also. You need to understand that we're all in this fight together. We all want to get it right. Something else personally about me that I want to tell you. Because again, I'm human. I struggle with this also. In my world, I like to get things right the first time. Some people around me, my friends and family, would say, you know what, you kind of a perfectionist, Van. And I get that. I just prefer just to get it right and just be done with it. But guess what? Mistakes do happen. Are there times where I dwell on it over and over again? Absolutely. But ultimately, after a period of time, based on the mistake that I made, I extend myself grace. I look forward to my future, and I continue to walk forward. I'm asking you to do the same. Something else you need to understand, empowerment. Mistakes allow you to ultimately feel empowered, because once you learn from it, guess what? Not only will you empower yourself, you will empower others by sharing that knowledge. Hey, watch out. I dropped my cup of juice that time, and let me tell you how I dropped it. And let me give you some advice so that you don't drop yours. You're empowering individuals before they even make a mistake. How great is that? How great is that? Friends, family members, even strangers. Hey, don't touch that hot stove. I burn myself. A lot of times they appreciate that. A lot of times they appreciate that. Something else that can help you. You need to be setting goals for yourselves. You need to be able to have this shining light at the end that you're trying to progress to. And the best way to do that is to set goals. Specifically, I love what are called SMART goals. The word SMART is really an acronym. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. Let's talk about that for a second. So when you have these goals, you want to be specific in your goals. So what is it you're really trying to accomplish? As a matter of fact, I would suggest that you write that down and you look at it on a consistent basis. Also, you need a way to be able to measure that goal over a period of time. You want to be able to do what is called a ramp so you can see where you started, ultimately maybe the middle part of the ramp, and then ultimately where you're trying to go. And we call it a ramp because you should be progressing. You should be going up. Is your goal attainable? I like to say, have you ever seen somebody obtain that goal before that you can look at maybe as a mentor or that beacon of light to say, hey, he did it or she did it. And if they can do it, guess what? I can do it. Is your goal attainable? Let's talk about that R, which stands for realistic. Now, listen to me. I really want you to listen to me. You know you better than anybody else. You know how much work you're willing to put in for your goals. With that being said, is the goal that you're going to set realistic? Or are you just fooling yourself? Because we don't want to set ourselves up for failure. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to win. And then finally, you want your goal to be time bound. So, are we trying to attain this in a month, a year, a couple of years? But as we move towards that time period, we want to be able to track it and then say at the end of that time period, you know what? I made it. I did it. Or say, you know what? I still got some work to do. Setting goals provide you with a roadmap. And a lot of times that roadmap will help us to prevent mistakes. We're mentally checked in because we see the road that we're walking down. So I always suggest that you all set goals. Something else about making mistakes. Channeling your energy. Energy is energy. It can be positive. It can be negative. And a lot of times, based on your mindset, you can go down that negativity road where you say to yourself, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like me. I don't like what I did. I don't even like being here. Understand that's a lot of energy that you're using on that negativity train. Try this the next time. Try this the next time. Maybe pick one thing that you would consider to be on the brighter side and take some of that energy that you would normally use for negativity, switch it, and focus on something positive. And it can be anything. I'm just asking for one specific thing that you can utilize because that negative energy can get you in trouble. It can make you not want to get out of bed in the morning. It can make you hate going into your job. It can make you not want to talk to your friends. It's just overall make you a bad person that nobody wants to deal with, talk to, be around. When we know that's not truly who you are. You're here to inspire people. Use those mistakes, flip them, look at the positive side, and then teach those around you so they don't make those same mistakes. Be that beacon of light as you move forward in life. Also, this is a big one. Making mistakes and overcoming them allow you to build confidence. I'm actually a teacher. In real life, I'm a teacher. And I always tell my students, I say, listen, The one thing that I would love to be able to teach you is confidence. But you got to walk in the door with a certain sense of, you know what? I can take on the world. I can do this. I will be okay. And I can push you and encourage you for the rest. But part of it is going to be you. Now, are there times where I have students that come in and they're just not feeling it, or life is beating them down, or they're sharing with me some of the mistakes they have made? Absolutely, that happens. But I always tell them what I'm telling you now. There's a brighter side to this. Make sure you extend some grace to yourself. Understand you're not the only person that's made this mistake. When they come and share with me, that is part of the healing process. That is part of them walking towards the light. A lot of times, again, when you're replaying this over and over again in your brain, that negative energy is continuing to creep in, and that's not what we want for ourselves. Something else when it comes to making mistakes, I suggest you surround yourself with individuals who are, one, going to keep you accountable, but also are positive, who are going to encourage you, who are not going to make you feel awful when you make a mistake, because nobody is perfect. But if you're around individuals that come at you a certain type of way when you make a mistake that makes you feel bad, oh, then here you go again. Why did you do this? You know the outcome of this. You need individuals around you who are going to encourage you and to help you and to put that positive energy into your mind. That support system is huge. And it doesn't have to be large, by the way. It could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be your best friend, it could be your teacher. That person or those individuals were put on earth to help you. So utilize them. Now, I'm about to hit you with something. I know this is going to sound strange, but you need to be grateful that you're making mistakes. That's right. You heard me. You need to show gratitude because, again, those mistakes are life lessons. As we grow in life, things are going to happen. The question is, are you learning from life? That's the question. And ultimately, if you're learning from life, that's what makes your life fulfilled. There are times where we get into car accidents. Does that mean we stop driving cars? There are times where we're walking down the street and we may stumble and fall. So, do we stop walking? Of course not. Of course not. So, when you make a mistake, you realize the mistake that you made and you correct it and move on and be grateful. Because again, we are learning and we're learning because we want to share this information with the world to make the world better. Also, this is another big one. You want to celebrate progress. When you overcome that mistake, celebrate it. That's a great thing. You did it. You learned. So that's that positive mindset that I referred to earlier, where you said to yourself, you know what? I made it through. The juice is cleaned up off of the floor. Not only is the juice cleaned up, I got another cup of juice and everything's okay. Again, this is a part of life. So there is a part where you need to celebrate that progress because you're growing, and growth is always good. Resilience. Making mistakes also make you resilient. You know what's funny? There are products now that we use in the world on a daily basis that were created because of mistakes. Let me give you some examples. In your office, when you want to jot down a quick note and then you posted up on your computer, that little small square post-it note, guess what? That was the mistake. Yeah. The post-it notes that we use every day, that was a mistake. Those of you all like myself who enjoy sweets, specifically, I enjoy chocolate chip cookies. Guess what? Chocolate chip cookies were a mistake. That's right. It was a mistake. Those of you all who enjoy maybe sipping a hot cup of tea in the morning before you go to work, when you first get up in the morning, guess what? Those tea bags, that was a mistake too. When you go to the doctor and they need to examine you internally, obviously nobody wants to get cut open to be looked at. So what do they typically use? An x-ray, right? Guess what? That x-ray was also a mistake. The same with the microwave oven, the same with the pacemaker, the same with Play-Doh, the same with Teflon frying pans. All of those were mistakes, but because of those mistakes, look what we got out of them. That's how you got to look at life. There can be some good gained out of going through the tough times. There's always a way to look at any situation with a certain level of positivity. I just happen to always look at the sunny side of life, so it's easy for me. But I realize for a lot of individuals, it's not that easy. Again, I always go back to, I see people all the time wanting to give up. No, we cannot give up in life. Something else, that mistake and you overcoming it, it allows you to inspire people. Allow them to look at you and say, you know what? If Van can do it, I can do it. Be that inspirational light for those individuals around you. That is huge. You can draw on that energy. And don't be afraid to share that you made a mistake. I just shared with you all that I make mistakes. Being open and honest, this is the part of the process. Also, be adaptable. Sometimes mistakes happen to get you to alter your direction, and that's okay. You originally were thinking you were going to go right this full time, and then all of a sudden, a mistake happened, and now you got to turn left. You're on a totally separate journey that you never thought that you would be on. That's okay. Sometimes mistakes happen for a reason to wake you up and to say, hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? Let's go this way. Again, there's lessons to be learned when it comes to making mistakes. Something else. Mistakes should also build character, make us stronger, show who you truly are. I believe there's greatness in all of us. So just because you make a mistake doesn't mean, in my eyes, that dims your greatness. If anything, it makes you tougher. It makes you more resilient. It builds that character that is needed so those individuals around you know they can depend on you. It also shows a certain sense of realness. People love authentic individuals. They love to see the real you. So show them. And ultimately, team, you overcoming those mistakes can build a legacy. Where at the end of your days, when it is time for you to leave this earth, and people are singing your praises, they're singing your praises because of how you were able to tackle life. Notice I use the word tackle life, which means that there were some obstacles in front of you that you were able to overcome. When people come and say, a life well lived, that's what they're referring to. That you were able to overcome mistakes, that you had that emotional resilience. that you were able to show forgiveness, that you set goals for yourself that you were able to accomplish, that you were able to channel that energy and switch it from a negative to a positive, that you always showed confidence in everything that you did, that you were grateful that those mistakes happened because you were able to learn from them, that you were a beacon of light that was able to inspire others, that you were resilient, like that Teflon pan that was made as a mistake. Always showing that positive mindset. Understanding that you have to be adaptable. That's what your legacy should be about. Not being afraid. Not being fearful of making mistakes, but embracing them and understanding that this is leading you towards a brighter future. So, ladies and gentlemen, mistakes are going to happen. Failure is going to happen. No shame in that. Nothing wrong with that at all. The question is, what are you going to do? I'm going to say it again. What are you going to do? Are you going to overcome those mistakes? Or are you going to dwell on the juice? It can always be cleaned up. You can always get another cup of juice. Yes, I broke my wrist playing basketball, even though I knew I should not have been playing basketball, so I made a mistake. But ultimately, look, decades later, I'm still playing a form of baseball. We call it softball, but it's still a form of baseball. So I didn't let that stop me ultimately. I didn't allow that to creep into my brain to the point where I'm saying to myself, you know what? I never want to touch a baseball or softball again. No, that's not how life works. Now, in closing, again, I have a resource for you. 50 Motivational Life Hacks to Become a Better You is a book that I actually wrote a few months ago. It is helping people. It is helping people. I want my book to help you. It's available on Amazon you can get it hard copy, you can get it paperback. For those of you all who like to read books on the Kindle, it's available. Also, those of you all who enjoy listening to books, maybe on your way to work, on your way to the gym, or maybe in the gym when you're on that treadmill, my book is available on Audible. I was able to partner with an extraordinary talent who was able to narrate my book, William Wells. Give it a listen. I have individuals that listen to this every single day, every day. And that gives them motivation to take on life. And again, you are not your mistakes. I'll say it again. You are not your mistakes. You all have a great rest of the week. I will see you next time on Motivational Mondays. Again, I am your host, Van Leer. Take care.
Thanks for watching Motivational Life Hacks with Van Leer. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week.